ladies and gentlemen. My friends, let us consider for a moment the peculiar beauty of a solitary figure walking a lonely path. Imagine a woman, her pockets empty, her companions absent, her future uncertain. By all accounts, the world might call her destitute, yet I wonder, might she be richer than kings? To walk alone is no small feat. It requires courage to tread where no one joins, to withstand the cold winds of rejection and the silence of the road. But this solitude, if borne rightly, becomes a mirror. In it she sees not what the world sees, a lack of coin or company, but the reflection of a soul fashioned in the image of the divine. And is not that a treasure beyond price? The journey of solitude is not merely a physical act of walking alone, nor is it confined to the absence of companions. It is, in its essence, a profound voyage into the very depths of one's soul. When a woman sets out on this path, it is as though she steps beyond the boundaries of the familiar and into a realm where the noise of the world falls silent, leaving her with only the echoes of her own thoughts. In solitude, every distraction is stripped away, and what remains is the raw, unvarnished self. It is a space where masks cannot be worn, for there is no one to deceive, and pretenses cannot be maintained, for there is no audience to impress. Solitude compels a confrontation with the truth that can be both uncomfortable and liberating. The journey is not marked by the scenery around her, but by the shifting landscapes within her heart and mind. Each step she takes is a test of resolve, for the absence of company often feels like the absence of approval, validation, or comfort. There are no reassuring nods, no hands to hold, and no voices to affirm her course. Yet in this void she begins to hear a deeper voice, the quiet whisper of her own convictions, and the resonant call of something greater than herself. It is here, in the solitude, that her values are tested and refined. The path is often fraught with questions. Am I enough? Will I endure? Does my journey have meaning? These questions, unanswerable in the chaos of crowds, rise to the surface in solitude like pebbles uncovered by a receding tide. The journey is not about finding answers in haste, but about learning to live with the questions, to embrace the unknown, and to trust that clarity will come in its own time. The solitude deepens with each mile, and with it comes the weight of loneliness, a feeling as heavy as any physical burden. Yet, as the days pass, this loneliness begins to transform. What once felt like emptiness now feels like space to breathe, to reflect, to be. She begins to discover that solitude is not an absence, but a presence that demands her attention and invites her to grow. Memories surface, some sweet and some bitter. She recalls moments of joy, regret, love, and loss. In solitude, these memories are not distractions but teachers, reminding her of where she has been and shaping her understanding of where she is going. She learns to carry them not as weights but as treasures, each one a part of the mosaic that is her life. The world around her feels both larger and smaller. Larger, because without the voices of others to anchor her, she becomes acutely aware of the vastness of the universe, the endless horizon stretching before her, and the innumerable stars above. Smaller, because in solitude, the grandeur of external things pales in comparison to the immensity of the inner world she is exploring. There are moments of doubt when the silence feels oppressive and the loneliness threatens to overwhelm. But there are also moments of unparalleled clarity, when the sunlight filters through the trees, the wind whispers across her face, and she feels, perhaps for the first time, truly alive. Solitude strips her bare, but it also clothes her in strength, resilience, and a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken. Wealth beyond gold speaks to a kind of richness that cannot be quantified by numbers, weighed on scales, or stored in vaults. It is the wealth of the soul, the treasure of the spirit, and the abundance of the heart. When we speak of this kind of wealth, we are not speaking of possessions, but of the qualities that define the truest essence of a person. For gold, though it gleams, can tarnish, and possessions, though they multiply, can be lost. But there is a wealth that time cannot erode and circumstances cannot steal. To live without money is to be cast, in the eyes of many, into the category of the impoverished. Yet, how often does this judgment spring from a misunderstanding of what it means to be truly rich? The woman who walks alone with no money may lack the coins that buy bread or the notes that open doors, but her wealth lies in something far more enduring. She carries within her the riches of courage, which enables her to face each day despite its uncertainties. This courage is not loud or boastful but quiet and unyielding, the kind that holds its ground in the face of storms. Her wealth is also found in her integrity, a treasure no thief can take. Without the distractions of material abundance, her actions are guided not by greed or the need to maintain appearances, but by principles that stand firm. She does not seek approval through the accumulation of things, for her sense of worth is anchored in something deeper. This integrity allows her to walk with her head high, not out of pride, but out of an unshakable sense of self. In her poverty she discovers gratitude, a jewel often hidden from those who have much. She learns to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, the taste of a simple meal, the warmth of a patch of sunlight, the beauty of a bird in flight. These are gifts freely given, yet often overlooked by those blinded by the glitter of wealth. For her they are treasures beyond price, reminders of a world filled with wonder and grace. Her wealth extends to her relationships, even if they are few. Stripped of pretense, she knows the value of genuine connection. She does not measure her friends by what they can give her, but by the shared moments of kindness and understanding that enrich both their lives. She has no wealth to lend, but offers her time, her attention, and her compassion, gifts far more precious than gold. She carries within her the wealth of hope, a light that burns even in the darkest of times. This hope is not the shallow optimism of one who expects everything to go well, but the deep, abiding trust of one who believes that goodness can emerge from even the hardest circumstances. It is the hope that keeps her moving forward when the road seems endless and the night unyielding. Her wealth also lies in her freedom, for without the chains of material possessions she is free to move, to adapt, and to grow. She is not bound by the need to protect what she has, for she has learned to live lightly, unburdened by the weight of ownership. This freedom gives her a clarity of purpose that those consumed by the pursuit of wealth often lack. She can see the world for what it is, not through the lens of what she owns, but through the lens of what truly matters. In her emptiness, she finds space for reflection, for growth, and for the quiet whispers of wisdom that are so easily drowned out by the noise of wealth. She learns to distinguish between what is essential and what is superfluous. This discernment is itself a form of wealth, for it allows her to invest her energy in the things that truly matter. The shadow and the light represents the duality of existence, a tension that every journey entails, and one that the woman walking alone with no money knows all too well. To walk in shadows is not merely to endure the absence of light, but to feel the weight of darkness pressing against the spirit, to encounter fear, doubt, and sorrow in their rawest forms. Yet shadows cannot exist without light, and it is this interplay, the way darkness defines and reveals the light, that makes the journey both challenging and profound. Shadows follow her, creeping in the form of uncertainties about her future, questions about her worth, and the haunting whispers of past regrets. Each step she takes brings her face to face with these shadows, and they are relentless. They loom over her in the quiet of the night, when the stars seem distant and the silence grows oppressive. They remind her of what she lacks, of the material comforts and securities she has left behind or never possessed. These shadows, far from being external, arise within her, taking the shape of her deepest fears and insecurities. Yet it is in the presence of these shadows that the light becomes most evident. The light does not always come in grand revelations or sudden illuminations, but in small, persistent flickers. It may be the warmth of the morning sun breaking through the cold dawn, a fleeting moment of beauty in the rustling of leaves, or the quiet reassurance that, Despite everything, she has made it through another day. The light is not an absence of struggle, but a reminder that struggle is not all there is. The shadows test her resolve, forcing her to confront the parts of herself she might otherwise ignore. They reveal the depth of her endurance, for it is only in walking through the darkness that she discovers how far she can go. The shadows expose her vulnerabilities, her doubts, and her frailties, but they also challenge her to rise above them. They are not merely obstacles, but mirrors, reflecting back her humanity in all its complexity. The light, by contrast, offers her glimpses of grace. It does not erase the shadows, but coexists with them, creating a contrast that makes each more vivid. The light reveals the path ahead, even if only for a few steps at a time. It is in the interplay of shadow and light that she begins to understand the rhythms of life, that neither darkness nor brightness can last forever, and that both have their purpose. The shadows teach her to value the light, while the light gives her the courage to face the shadows. At times the shadows seem to grow darker, as though they will consume her entirely. These moments are the hardest, for they test the very core of her faith. It is in these times that the light is most precious, for even the faintest glimmer becomes a beacon. The light does not promise ease or abundance, but it promises presence, a presence that reassures her she is not abandoned, even in the deepest darkness. The shadows can feel like a prison, enclosing her in fear and uncertainty, but the light reminds her of the vastness beyond. It invites her to lift her eyes, to see not just the ground beneath her feet, but the sky stretching endlessly above. The interplay of shadow and light transforms her perspective, teaching her that even in the most desolate moments there is beauty to be found. The light within her grows stronger as she learns to navigate the shadows. It is not a light born of external sources, but one that emanates from her soul, fed by her faith, her resilience, and her quiet hope. The shadows may seem overwhelming at times, but they cannot extinguish this inner light. Instead, they sharpen its edges, making it clearer and more defined. Faith in the face of fear is a paradox, a strength that emerges not from the absence of fear, but from its presence. Fear is the shadow that clings to every step the woman takes, whispering doubts into her ear and painting visions of failure before her eyes. It is the tremor in her hands as she faces the unknown, the tightening in her chest when she wonders if she has the strength to continue. Fear is her constant companion, and yet it is not her master. For in the midst of this fear, something stronger rises, a quiet, unshakable faith. Faith does not eliminate fear, nor does it deny its existence. Instead, faith acknowledges fear and chooses to move forward anyway. It is not a blind optimism or a naive hope that everything will be easy, but a profound trust in something greater than the circumstances at hand. Faith is the belief that even when the road is dark and the destination uncertain, there is a purpose to the journey, a reason to take the next step. It is the conviction that she is not alone, even when no other human soul walks beside her. Fear often shouts, loud and insistent, demanding attention. It lists every possible danger, every potential failure, every reason to turn back. It thrives on uncertainty, magnifying every shadow and every unknown. But faith speaks in a quieter voice, steady and calm. It does not argue with fear, but simply stands firm against it. While fear shows her all the reasons she cannot succeed, faith reminds her of the reasons she must try. While fear paralyzes, faith propels. Faith is not the absence of questions. On the contrary, it often arises in the midst of them. What if I fail? What if I am not enough? What if the world is as unforgiving? As I fear, these questions swirl around her like a storm, and faith does not silence them. Instead, it provides an anchor, a place of stillness in the midst of the chaos. Faith says, even if you do not have all the answers, you can still move forward. It is the assurance that she does not need to see the entire path to take the first step. There are moments when fear feels overwhelming, when it presses against her like a suffocating weight. In these moments, faith becomes her refuge. It is not a shield that keeps the fear at bay, but a fire that burns within her, giving her the strength to endure. Faith transforms her perspective, teaching her that fear, while powerful, is not absolute. It shows her that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it, to stand in its presence and refuse to be ruled by it. Her faith is not rooted in herself alone, for she knows her limitations. She knows that her strength will falter, her resolve will waver, and her spirit will grow weary. Her faith is in something greater, something eternal. It is the belief that there is a purpose to her struggle, that her journey is not meaningless, and that even in her weakest moments, she is not abandoned. This faith does not promise ease or success, but promises that she will never walk alone. Fear thrives on the unknown, and her path is full of it. Every step she takes is a step into uncertainty, a step away from the familiar. Yet it is in this very uncertainty that her faith grows. For faith, unlike fear, does not demand certainty. It thrives in the unknown, finding strength not in what is seen but in what is hoped for. It is the trust that even when she cannot see the way forward, there is a way, and it will reveal itself in time. Faith in the face of fear is an act of defiance. It is a refusal to let fear dictate her choices or determine her worth. It is the quiet, steady resolve to keep moving, even when every instinct tells her to stop. It is the belief that she is more than her circumstances, more than her doubts, and more than her fears. Faith gives her the courage to step into the darkness, trusting that the light will follow. The glory of the small things is a hymn to the overlooked, an ode to the ordinary moments that often escape notice amidst the rush and noise of life. For the woman who walks alone with no money, the grandeur of life does not lie in towering achievements or grand possessions, but in the simple, quiet gifts scattered along her path. These are the treasures that cannot be bought or sold, the small mercies that sustain her soul in ways that riches never could. In a world that prizes the monumental and the magnificent, the small things are easily dismissed. Yet it is in these small things that she finds beauty, solace, and meaning. The rising sun, casting its golden light across the earth, is a daily miracle that reminds her of renewal and hope. Each morning, as the darkness yields to dawn, she sees a promise that even the longest night is not eternal, and every ending holds the potential for a beginning. The whisper of the wind through the trees, carrying with it the scent of earth and foliage, becomes a symphony to her ears. She listens not just with her hearing but with her heart, attuned to the subtle harmonies of the natural world. A single flower growing by the roadside, its petals vibrant and alive, is to her a masterpiece, a reminder that beauty thrives even in the harshest conditions. She sees in its delicate form a reflection of her own resilience, a testament to life's determination to endure and flourish. Every small act of kindness she encounters, a smile from a stranger, a helping hand, a word of encouragement, shines with a brilliance that no jewel could match. These moments, though fleeting, become anchors for her spirit. They remind her that goodness exists, not in some distant, unattainable form, but in the small, intentional gestures of everyday life. She treasures these acts, not because they are rare, but because she has learned to see them for what they are, expressions of grace in a world often consumed by haste and indifference. Even her own breath, steady and rhythmic, becomes a source of wonder. She marvels at the miracle of life, the fact that her body carries her forward despite its weariness. The steady beating of her heart, the rise and fall of her chest, are reminders that she is alive, that she has been given another moment, another step, another day. These small things, so easily taken for granted, become to her a source of profound gratitude. The food she eats, though humble, is a feast for her spirit. A simple piece of bread, a sip of water, these are not mere sustenance but gifts. She savors them, aware that they are not guaranteed, and in her gratitude, they take on a significance that far exceeds their material value. Each bite is a reminder of provision, each swallow a testament to survival. The stars at night, scattered across the velvet sky, fill her with awe. In their light she feels both her insignificance and her belonging. The vastness of the universe does not intimidate her, but invites her to wonder. She sees in the stars a reflection of the infinite, a reminder that even in her smallness, she is a part of something grand and beautiful. Her steps, though unremarkable to others, are to her a victory. Each one is an act of perseverance, a declaration that she refuses to give up. She notices the way her feet press into the earth, the rhythm of her movement, the sensation of the ground beneath her. These small details, so easily ignored, remind her that she is connected to the world around her, that she is both grounded and free. The small things become her companions, her guides, her teachers. They draw her attention away from what she lacks and toward what she has. They teach her to see abundance in scarcity, joy in simplicity, and meaning in the mundane. Each moment, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to discover grace, to encounter beauty, and to find strength.